Hi guys, I'm here behind the camera today because I want to do some sort of vlog. Not exactly, I'm not going to be moving all around, but I will show you a little bit of my plants because the video today is about how I get my orchids and my house plants to get ready for the cold months of the year. So how I prepare them for winter. Everything that I learned most of these things from experience and watching other videos, reading about orchids, reading about getting to know my plants very well, noticing how they develop over the years. So I give you some practical tips and I hope you enjoyed them. I'm showing you here my beauties. This is exactly where I keep my orchids that are in bloom at the moment. Not all of them, but part of them will be here. The ones that are not seeing the blooms is because they are turned to the windows. I have to turn them up front. But I love this display. I have bark everywhere. I can see some bark there. But anyway, let's get to the point. I'm not going to be blabbing forever. As you can see, these beauties here, they are all tropical plants. Not only these ones, but also, let me show you. So I have my orchids here. I have here some house plants as well. I have more orchids over there. And you see my miniatures. It's becoming a little bit wonky. I'll try to fix the camera for you. But these are Hoyas. So all of these plants, they are tropical plants. And why I'm telling you that? Because that's affect the way that I grow them. So when you think about which type of care you're going to provide to your plant, it's really important that you think about where they come from in the world, which type of conditions they ideally would like to have. Luckily for us, most of the plants that we find available in garden centers, nurseries, flower shops, they are plants that are used to intermediate temperatures and then we can grow inside our homes. With a few exceptions, I'm not going to come to them. I'm going to come to the ones that we have, most of the ones that we have inside our flats, house. I don't have an external area, I don't have a garden. So all the care that I provide is the type of care that I have to provide inside my flat. So, talking about it, you probably imagine, but most of these plants, they need some sort of intermediate temperature, as I already mentioned. So the first thing is, how am I going to provide intermediate temperature for these beauties here all year round when we have winter coming now and my flat will start to become a little bit colder than what it is. So during autumn and winter, if I don't turn my heating system on, I can have the temperature falling to maybe 10 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees Celsius inside my flat, depending on the season. So when it's December, January, it gets very cold here. So as you can see, I have the shelving with all of my plants. So how can I keep them safe and making sure that my plants are healthy if they need intermediate temperature? When I notice that the temperature is falling, it's getting cool inside my flat, what I usually do is I have to turn on the heating system. It will make sure that the temperature inside my flat is intermediate most of the time. I know that for some people it can be costly and expensive, so even for me, I try to reduce the time that I have the heating on, but I know that I have to turn it on, especially at night time before going to bed or the first thing in the morning. I don't like to sleep with the heating on, that's on me. Sorry about all this external noise. But the first thing when I wake up is to turn the heating on. And I do have a thermometer, and we can have some digital thermometers and things that you can measure the temperature and also humidity to know if we need to turn the heating on or maybe opening your windows when it's warmer. I super recommend you to get one. The next topic here, I'm gonna change it. Can you see? These are receiving artificial lighting. The one here as well, but it's a purple light. So if I turn it on right now, it will ruin all the footage. Sometimes if you see a sheen purple in my videos because of the lighting on this shelving. And I also have purple light, not purple light, sorry, I have artificial light up there as well. The next thing is about light. If you live in a country where you cannot offer natural light to all of your plants, one of the solutions is to having artificial light. Artificial light helps my plants to grow healthily, but when it's summer, I usually tend to leave them on for like 12 hours a day. And now that's winter, I can definitely start, not winter, now it's autumn, but I will start to reduce the time that they are on. So you can reduce the time that your light is on to 10 hours a day, to 8 hours a day when it's winter. Not less than that, because when you think about tropical plants, if you're talking about the forest, they are usually exposed to maybe 12 to 10 hours a day of daylight. I would like to reduce it a little bit. I will get to 10 hours a day. It to show them that we have some differentiation in seasons. Some of them, they don't have this kind of seasons in their natural habitat, so it doesn't make a massive change for them, apart from the fact that they will start to grow less structures. Some of them will not produce as many roots or as many new growths, and some other types, some other hybrids, they won't care, they will keep growing as normal. But it's natural, just for you to know, that when we have a cold season, if the temperature drops and we have less light, it's natural that your plant will reduce the speed they produce some structures. That's why we should avoid repotting some of our orchids. Not all of them. If you see that you have an orchid that is struggling a lot, go and repot it. It's better than leave it be. But if your orchids are doing okay, you think that's just the mix is a little bit old, or it's been in that pot for a very long time, or needs maybe a bigger pot, but it's not suffering, you can wait until the next season when it is spring, because they will push out new roots and they will enjoy, since the weather is going to be warmer, so makes more sense for these plants to start producing new structures. And some plants such as cattleyas, if they don't push out new structures, you probably will lose your plants because they tend to lose all of their roots during repotting. Something else is related to ventilation. So I'm gonna just turn here a little bit for you to see. I have these windows here. And when it's summer and spring, and even now that it's autumn, I leave the windows open and I have more ventilation inside my flat. It makes such a massive difference for my plants and for myself. For sure, I try to open my windows when it's winter, but I cannot leave them open all the time or for the whole day because it gets freezing inside. So I have less ventilation, and that makes such a difference when we're talking about plants, because if we have drop of water on a new growth, or if we have a drop of water, in a Phalaenopsis crown, for instance, sometimes if you don't have enough ventilation, you can have some rots, so you can have your new structure can become completely rotten and you lose the plant or the structure. So for this reason, this season is the season that I take some extra care, and I'm extremely careful when I see that I have some droplets of water in some of the structures of my plants, because it's gonna get cool, and also I'll have less ventilation, which can be amazing for bacteria and other microorganisms to multiply and to grow on your plants. So that's another thing that I always tend to take care when we're talking about the changings here. Another thing that we have to pay attention, and for that I will bring you close to the other section of my living room. I don't want to make you extremely dizzy, so I will try to slow down the footage a little bit, but here I think I have a very good example. Let's see. These plants here, they have some pest issues. I think they have, oh my gosh, I forgot the name. It's not thrips anymore. I need to spray some oil here, But the point is, even when the temperature is cold, have cooled down, we don't leave our windows open, so even insects outside, they will probably not be around as much because of the temperature. We have less pests coming through our collection, but we need to be careful with the pests that we already have, and we need to treat them. We don't want them proliferating. We don't want them growing inside our collection because we have intermediate temperatures inside, so they can go and they can munch on all of your plants. So that's very important. The second thing is, even though maybe you don't have zero pests in your collection, if you buy a new plant, very important that you look for pests on the new plant as well, because with the intermediate temperature inside, they can still multiply and get to your plants. But it's likely that you will have less pests coming to your collection due to the drop in temperature. So guys, I have someone who want to say something here in the middle of the video. What do you want to say, Iris?
I helped my mommy water the plants after yesterday.
And how was it?
Very good. I want to do it whenever a day was.
Okay, thank you. You were very, very helpful.
Bye bye, family of mommy.
After that, I hope you could hear Iris. She didn't have the microphone. Very important, but I think it's okay. So, and the last thing that I want to say is related to some plants, such as this one, which is an amazing example, and this one that push out a flower out of nowhere. The climate is really, really weird at the moment. Some of these plants, they need a drop in temperature to be able to bloom. So they enjoy the warm seasons to grow structures, and when the cold season arrives, they will need to have an extreme drop in temperature that below 10 degrees Celsius. Some of them needs a longer time exposure to cooler down, and others not a very extreme one, but for these plants, that's the case of some deciduous dendrobiums, some deciduous dendrobiums, cymbidiums, and maybe there are other orchids out there that also need a cool down in temperature. For these specific ones, ideally you have to put them or outside if you have an outdoor area, or in my case, I can leave one bathroom in my house. I leave the windows open and I leave them there for 1 or 2 months, and I'm able to induce flower spikes when they are there. Some of them are very complex hybrids, such as this white one. So this one is the easiest one to rebloom. It's going to be the first one. Some of the other ones will take longer. They need more time exposure to the drop in temperature. So it depends specifically on the plant. But if you decided to have some of these plants, it's very important that you have a dedicated area for them where you can provide these drop down in temperature. Otherwise, they will not rebloom for you, and can be a hassle if you don't have the space or if you don't have the fluctuation in temperature. That's what I usually do with these ones, and soon they will be moving to that space. I have a few videos where I showed you this space. So these ones are different cases, but most of the orchids that we have in our house, Phalaenopsis, the only thing that Phalaenopsis needs is a little cool down, around 20 degrees to 15 degrees Celsius, and they will start spiking like nothing. It's different. You don't need to move them around. They can be on your shelving, you can be around your house, and they will rebloom. These ones, it's a completely different case. I want to show you because they are here. They have to be moved soon. And that concludes all my tips for you for when you live in a country that you have specific seasons such as autumn and winter. And I hope you enjoyed these tips. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. And I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.